Ford isn't advertising this, but their dealerships are in full-blown panic mode. Massive inventory, zero-foot traffic, and discounts so steep they're practically giving cars away, and yet nobody's buying. You're about to see the 14 vehicles Ford can't move, no matter how hard they try. Why? Because some of Ford's most trusted models have quietly become money pits, resale disasters, or total letdowns. So which ones are overpriced? Which are being dumped before they're discontinued? And which one might leave you upside down on a loan you'll regret for years? Stick around, because the last vehicle on this list might shock you the most. Ford Transit Connect, the dead van walking. The Transit Connect was once a go-to van for city businesses. It was small, maneuverable, and affordable. But today, it's one of the hardest vehicles for Ford dealerships to sell. Why? Because commercial buyers have moved on, and Ford has too. The Transit Connect has officially been discontinued in North America, but that hasn't stopped unsold inventory from piling up. Its compact size, once an asset, now feels limiting in a market where businesses need more range, more cargo, and modern fleet connectivity. The design is outdated, the engine underpowered, and the tech nearly a generation behind. While rivals like the Mercedes-Benz Metris and even electric alternatives offer smart features and smoother rides, the Transit Connect still feels stuck in 2015. Dealers are offering massive discounts, up to $8,000 off in some cases, but buyers are still steering clear. There's no long-term support, no EV version, and no resale value to speak of. Most fleet buyers don't want to invest in a platform that's already been pulled from production. You're not hearing this from Ford, and you definitely won't see it in an ad, but we dug through inventory data, buyer trends, and dealership behavior to bring you what's really happening. If that saved you hours of second guessing, consider subscribing. That's how this research keeps rolling. But that's not the only model Ford can't unload, because even their mid-size sport utility vehicle is now being quietly forgotten. Ford Edge, the mid-size nobody remembers. The Ford Edge used to be a strong pick for buyers who wanted something bigger than a compact sport utility vehicle, but not as bulky as a full-size model. Today, it barely registers on shoppers' radar. Its biggest problem? It simply hasn't kept up with the times. The platform is nearly 10 years old, the interior feels outdated, the ride quality is average, and Ford has made no real push to modernize it. There's no hybrid version, no electric option, and no standout tech to set it apart in a segment dominated by innovation. Think Hyundai Santa Fe, Toyota Highlander, and even Ford's own Explorer. The Edge is little more than a leftover. Dealerships have tried everything to move them. Thousands off the sticker price, generous financing terms, even bundling it with rebates. Still, the Edge lingers on lots. Most buyers walk right past it towards something newer, cleaner, and better equipped. It's not that the Edge is a terrible vehicle, it's just invisible. In a market where fuel efficiency, hybrid capability, and smart interiors drive decisions, the Edge feels like a car from a different era, without a serious redesign or new powertrain options. This once reliable nameplate is fading fast. And if a mid-size sport utility vehicle can vanish from memory, what happens when a full-size gas guzzler becomes a financial anchor? Ford Expedition. Big SUV, bigger regret. Once the king of space and power, the Ford Expedition is now a massive liability for dealers. With its high fuel consumption, oversized frame, and premium price tag, buyers are thinking twice and then walking away. Dealers across the country are slashing $10,000 or more off Expedition models, trying to fix a problem Ford created: overproduction. Expecting demand to hold strong, they built too many. Now they're stuck. Today's buyers are pivoting to large hybrid and plug-in sport utility vehicles. The Toyota Sequoia, for example, offers strong towing with hybrid efficiency. Meanwhile, the Expedition remains a gas-guzzling holdover with no electrified option in sight. Financing is another problem. With rising interest rates, a fully loaded Expedition can carry monthly payments that feel more like a mortgage than a car note. The size no longer justifies the cost, not when more efficient competitors offer nearly the same space and better fuel economy. Buyers are calculating long-term value, and the Expedition doesn't add up. Insurance costs are high. Resale value is uncertain. Fuel prices are volatile. Even families who once loved its power are walking away for greener, cheaper alternatives. And a similar thing has happened to another Ford legend. The next one used to be a symbol of American muscle until the market left it behind. Ford Mustang GT. muscle that no one's buying. It still turns heads, it still growls at every stoplight, and yet the Ford Mustang GT, once the heart and soul of American performance, is struggling to stay relevant. It is not because it lost its edge. In fact, with a roaring V8 engine and classic rear-wheel drive layout, the Mustang GT remains one of the most powerful production coupes in its class. The problem? The world around it has changed, and the Mustang didn't change with it. Younger buyers today are simply not drawn to traditional muscle cars. Soaring fuel prices and increasingly strict emission standards have made high-horsepower, gas-thirsty vehicles harder to justify. Add in rising insurance premiums and maintenance costs, and what used to be a dream car now looks more like a financial liability. The Mustang GT's appeal has narrowed to a small subset of enthusiasts, many of whom are holding on to older models rather than buying new. Even loyal fans are having second thoughts. A well-equipped Mustang GT now pushes beyond $55,000, putting it in competition with all-electric performance cars like the Tesla Model 3 Performance or the Kia EV6 GT, vehicles that offer similar acceleration but with lower running costs and better tech. Buyers are starting to ask the hard question: why spend more for less range, more upkeep, and fewer creature comforts? Resale value has also taken a hit, with the performance coupe market shrinking and more people moving to electric alternatives. The Mustang GT's used prices are dropping faster than expected. Models bought 2 or 3 years ago at peak pricing are now worth substantially less, and owners are discovering that the resale community is smaller than it used to be. Dealers, facing bloated inventory, are offering heavy incentives, cashback rebates, 0% interest financing, and loyalty programs aimed at repeat customers. But even these aggressive offers can't erase the market reality. The Mustang GT is no longer the default answer to affordable power. It's a legacy vehicle in an industry chasing the future, and that leaves it parked in a dangerous middle ground, neither nostalgic enough to be collectible nor modern enough to be competitive. Look, performance alone can't carry a car anymore. Ford's once reliable compact is now struggling to justify its place in a crowded segment. Ford Escape, the compact that lost its way. The Ford Escape once stood as a top contender in the compact sport utility vehicle segment. It was practical, affordable, and delivered exactly what everyday drivers needed. But the market moved on, and the Escape didn't. Today's buyers want hybrid efficiency, sleek tech, and premium interiors, even in smaller vehicles. While rivals like the Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, and Hyundai Tucson have embraced this evolution with hybrid and plug-in hybrid variants, the Escape still struggles to define what it is. Yes, Ford offers a hybrid version, but you'd never know it. The marketing is weak, the branding unclear, and the performance underwhelming compared to competitors. The standard gas-powered Escape is even harder to justify. It costs nearly as much as better-equipped alternatives, but lacks the same refinement. The interior feels dated, the infotainment system is basic, and build quality lags behind. For many buyers, the Escape feels like a last-generation rental car, serviceable but forgettable. Dealers are now stuck. With rising interest rates and more attractive competition, Escape sales have slumped hard. Steep discounts, 0% financing, and extended warranties are being offered, but even those can't guarantee foot traffic. There's also the resale issue. With a flood of newer, more efficient compact sport utility vehicles dominating the market, used Escape values have dipped sharply. Buyers don't want to be stuck with a vehicle that's already struggling to hold relevance. Average doesn't sell anymore, but the next model failed before it even had a chance to compete. Ford EcoSport, the invisible model. This was Ford's attempt to capture the subcompact sport utility vehicle market, a lightweight, fuel-efficient, city-friendly crossover that would compete with the likes of the Hyundai Kona or the Mazda CX-30. The idea made sense, the execution did not. From the moment it launched, the Ford EcoSport felt like an afterthought, built primarily for global markets and hastily adapted for the United States. It arrived with a dated platform, a clunky swing-out tailgate, and underpowered engines that barely moved the needle. It lacked refinement, offered cramped seating, and featured a cabin that was already outdated when it hit the show floor. More importantly, it never developed an audience. Younger buyers looking for their first new car went to more stylish, better-equipped alternatives. Fleet buyers ignored it in favor of more durable options, and even Ford fans often forgot it existed. Dealerships carried the EcoSport, but rarely featured it front and center. Sales staff often had little enthusiasm to push it, especially when more profitable models like the Escape or Bronco Sport sat next to it. Then came the death knell. Ford confirmed the EcoSport would be discontinued in North America. Since then, inventory has lingered like a ghost. Most consumers aren't interested in buying a vehicle with no future, especially one that already lagged behind competitors in every key category. Add to that the poor resale value of discontinued models, and the EcoSport now represents one of the worst bets on the new car market. Despite all of this, discounts are steep. Some dealers have knocked $6,000 to $8,000 off MSRP just to clear their lots. Special financing, stacked rebates, extended warranties, it's all on the table. Yet the response has been tepid. The average buyer sees the price and keeps walking. So now we shift from underwhelming crossovers to a mid-size truck that returned with fanfare, only to fall flat. Ford Ranger, the mid-size that can't compete. There was a time when mid-size pickups were all but forgotten, and Ford was out of the game. Then the Ranger returned with promises of rugged capability in a more manageable size. On paper, it seemed like a winner, lighter than a full-size truck, with just enough towing and hauling for weekend warriors. In reality, the Ranger's return has been anything but triumphant. The core issue lies in how outdated the Ranger feels. While the competition has been steadily evolving, the Ranger remained tied to an aging platform that lacked both comfort and innovation. The cabin feels more like a work truck from 2010 than a competitor in the current segment. Hard plastics, a clunky infotainment interface, and lack of cabin refinement turn off buyers looking for a daily driver. Performance-wise, it is no slouch. The turbocharged engine offers respectable torque, but it is paired with handling dynamics that are stiff and unrefined. When buyers compare the Ranger to newer rivals like the Chevrolet Colorado, Toyota Tacoma, or even the Honda Ridgeline, the Ford comes up short on ride quality, technology, and perceived value. Adding to the Ranger's struggles is the confusion surrounding its role in Ford's lineup. With the Maverick now capturing attention as a more affordable and urban-friendly alternative, the Ranger feels caught in the middle. It is not cheap enough to win budget shoppers, and not refined enough to lure those stepping down from a full-size truck. Dealers have taken notice. Price cuts of $3,000 to $5,000 are now common, especially on leftover models from prior years. Despite these incentives, demand remains lukewarm. The Ranger may have returned with fanfare, but without serious updates or rethinking. Its place in Ford's portfolio is rapidly fading. A comeback vehicle is one thing. A supply chain disaster wrapped in broken promises? That's the Maverick Hybrid's legacy so far. Ford Maverick Hybrid, the hype that ghosted buyers. It was hailed as Ford's smartest move in years. Here was a compact truck that promised 40 miles per gallon, a starting price under $25,000, and all the versatility urban drivers could ask for. Demand exploded overnight. So what went wrong? The problem was not the truck itself, it was everything surrounding it. Ford drastically underestimated interest in the Maverick Hybrid and quickly found itself overwhelmed. Order banks closed, delivery schedules slipped, and customers were left waiting months, sometimes over a year, for a promised build. As time went on, excitement turned to frustration. That frustration was compounded by limited dealer allocation and inconsistent availability. Many buyers who placed early orders had their configurations canceled or delayed without warning. When trucks did arrive, markups were rampant. A vehicle advertised as affordable often carried price tags inflated by greedy dealerships, defeating the entire appeal. Then came quality concerns. While not widespread, enough reports surfaced of software issues, manufacturing delays, and build inconsistencies to make some buyers wary. In an era when consumer patience is thin, the Maverick Hybrid became a lesson in what happens when hype outpaces execution. Now demand has cooled, and the once impossible to find Maverick Hybrid is starting to collect dust at certain dealerships. Discounts are appearing, particularly on trims with fewer options or unusual colors. Leasing deals and low-interest financing are slowly creeping in, signaling a shift from hot commodity to inventory problem. The Maverick Hybrid still has potential, but Ford's mismanagement of the launch and the loss of trust that came with it has left a dent. Missed expectations lead to lost trust, but that is better than what happened to the next model on our list. Ford Bronco Sport looks rugged, sells weak. It looks the part, boxy styling, off-road ready design cues, and a name badge that evokes desert trails and mountain passes. The Ford Bronco Sport was meant to offer adventure in a smaller, more affordable package. But beneath that rugged image lies a problem. The Bronco Sport is not what most buyers expected. At its core, this is not a true Bronco. It rides on the same platform as the Ford Escape, meaning it shares much of that vehicle's DNA. For drivers hoping for a downsized off-roader with real trail chops, the Bronco Sport disappoints. The base trims in particular offer minimal capability beyond gravel roads or snowy driveways. The pricing only makes things worse. Some trims push well past $35,000, putting them dangerously close to real off-roaders like the Jeep Wrangler or Toyota 4Runner. When buyers realize the Bronco Sport is more of a lifted crossover than a trail monster, they start asking hard questions. Inside, things do not get much better. While the design is modern, materials feel average. Space is tight in the rear seats, and the ride quality, while fine for city driving, lacks the refinement needed for road trips or daily commuting. The result? Dealers are seeing units pile up, discounts are increasingly aggressive, and financing options are expanding. Yet interest is dropping. Buyers who want an adventure-ready vehicle are going elsewhere. Those who want comfort and tech are opting for other crossovers entirely. The Bronco Sport tried to walk the line between image and capability, and in doing so, it has failed to fully deliver either. That leaves it in a tough spot. A vehicle with an identity crisis, stuck between a promise it could not keep and a market that has moved on. Ford Mustang MachE, the EV Tesla destroyed. The Mustang MachE was supposed to signal Ford's electric future. Sleek design, sporty handling, and the iconic Mustang name gave it early momentum. It debuted with praise from the automotive press and interest from electric vehicle shoppers who were tired of waiting months for a Tesla. For a moment, it felt like Ford had finally cracked the electric code, but that moment did not last long. As the Tesla Model Y dropped in price and added features, the MachE struggled to compete. Ford's pricing strategy boxed it into a corner. It was not cheap enough to pull budget buyers from Hyundai or Kia, and not premium enough to go head-to-head with Tesla. Buyers began to question the value. Then came infrastructure. Tesla owners enjoy the supercharger network, fast, reliable, and widespread. Ford customers were stuck with inconsistent third-party stations, unpredictable charging times, and more frequent service errors. For new EV buyers, that hassle proved enough to walk away. Resale value added more concern. Early adopters watched their cars lose value rapidly. Some buyers who paid over $60,000 found their trade-in quotes below $40,000. That level of depreciation has spooked shoppers and slowed demand. Dealers are now pushing inventory with sizable incentives. But the MachE is no longer the hot ticket. It is a cautionary tale about how even bold innovation can fall flat without execution, support, and timing. Tesla kept evolving. Ford stopped short, but that's not even the worst part. Ford Explorer. This was once the face of the American family road trip. With 3-row seating, solid towing capacity, and a reputation for rugged comfort, the Explorer used to own the midsize segment. Today, that reputation is fraying fast, and buyers are backing away. It begins with price. A well-equipped Explorer now nudges $70,000 in higher trims, and even base models no longer feel affordable. For many families, that kind of money demands premium quality, rock-solid reliability, and cutting-edge tech. Unfortunately, the Explorer struggles on all three fronts. Inside, the cabin feels dated, especially when lined up next to the Kia Telluride or Hyundai Palisade. Materials vary from decent to underwhelming, and the interface feels stuck in the past. Add in rising complaints about fit and finish, and the Explorer no longer seems like a value at any price. The bigger issue is mechanical trust. The Explorer has been plagued with recalls in recent years, everything from faulty transmissions to suspension failures and electrical glitches. Buyers looking for peace of mind have started to look elsewhere. When families see their neighbors switching to Honda Pilots or Toyota Highlanders, confidence disappears. Inventory has swelled as demand dropped. Dealers are slashing prices, offering aggressive financing, and even advertising loyalty bonuses to past Ford customers. But brand loyalty only goes so far. The Explorer is no longer the family hero. It is the cautionary example of what happens when a market leader lets its guard down. And when even longtime family staples can't hold ground, it's time to examine the heavy-duty end of Ford's lineup, starting with the F-250. Ford F-250, the work truck that's now a liability. Built to haul, tow, and take abuse, the Ford F-250 has long been the tool of choice for contractors, ranchers, and businesses that need muscle. It was never about looks or luxury, it was about capability. That's what makes its current collapse so surprising. At the peak of the pandemic-era chip shortages, F-250s were so in demand that dealers marked them up by $30,000, even $40,000. Buyers, afraid of shortages, took the bait. Some walked out with loans over $150,000, convinced they were locking in a long-term investment. Now, those trucks are worth half as much. As supply normalized, used F-250 values crashed. Owners are left buried in loans with no trade-in solution. Some still owe over $100,000 on trucks that fetch $60,000 or less on the resale market. The financial damage extends to dealerships. Trucks once considered unsellable due to scarcity now fill showroom floors and backlots. Discounts are steep, $10,000 off, $20,000 off, even 0% financing on heavy-duty models. Still, the buyers are gone. Even worse, quality control issues have surfaced. Complaints about transmission problems and sensor failures are rising. Work trucks were supposed to be immune. This one proved that even durability has its breaking point. Ford F-150, the king that lost its crown. It was not just Ford's bestseller, it was America's. The F-150 defined the pickup truck market year after year, but somewhere between record profits and rising expectations, the king lost his crown. Price was the first dagger, with premium trims climbing past $75,000 and dealer markups pushing some models to six figures. The F-150 became too expensive for its most loyal audience. Buyers who once financed work trucks now saw monthly payments topping $1,500. That's not sustainable, even for contractors. The second blow came from within. Ford's own electric F-150 Lightning, while promising, split the brand's energy and confused buyers. Some leaned toward future tech, others stuck to gas, and both sides felt uncertain about long-term value. Meanwhile, the competition surged ahead. The Ram 1500 added luxury-grade interiors, the Silverado brought bold redesigns, and Toyota re-entered the fight with hybrid strength. Buyers noticed. Resale values dropped, loans went underwater, and trade-ins stalled. The F-150 went from best-in-class to overpriced risk. Dealers now have rows of unsold inventory. Incentives include 0% financing, cash rebates, loyalty bonuses, and more. But the magic is gone. The F-150 isn't alone in this slump, but it's the most symbolic. When even the king sits idle on the lot, it's a sign the market is broken. And if the F-150 struggles, nothing is off limits. Just like this last model on this list, where it had sky-high expectations, and it crashed harder than anyone expected. Ford Bronco, the overhyped comeback that failed. This was the comeback story of a generation. Ford resurrected the Bronco name with fanfare, targeting Jeep Wrangler loyalists and off-roaders, eager for something new. For a moment, it worked. Reservations flooded in. Social media exploded. Markups soared. Then came the reality. Early Broncos suffered from recall after recall, roof issues, powertrain bugs, and electrical gremlins. Owners who waited a year to take delivery were now making repeat visits to the dealership for service. The myth began to crumble. At the same time, buyers realized the Bronco was not cheap. Fully loaded versions ran well past $85,000. Even base models crept into the mid-$40,000 range after destination fees and dealer extras. That made it a luxury-priced vehicle in a niche segment. Resale collapsed. 2-year-old Broncos are now worth less than half of their original price in some markets. Buyers who paid over sticker are deeply underwater. Financing fallout has made many cautious about even test driving one. And the off-road crowd? They went back to the Jeep Wrangler or chose more capable Toyota models with proven track records. Ford has responded with massive incentives, $10,000 off, low APR, lease specials. Yet the inventory continues to grow. The buzz has turned to baggage. Now the question is, do you think the Bronco deserved to fail, or did Ford just mishandle a great opportunity? Drop your take in the comments. We're listening and thank you for watching.